The Republican Zone is brought to you by Drew Murray, a modern view from the Republican lens, covering local and national news, understanding that one size doesn't fit all when it comes to politics. The Republican Zone airs Wednesday from 1 to 2 p.m. and Saturday from 3 to 4 p.m.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Orsino Radio. My name is Drew Murray, and I am the host of the Republican Zone. I have two of my friends here today, two guests. Number one, my friend Joe Cox, who ran for city council at large as a Republican. Welcome, Joe.
No,
as a Republican. Oh my God, I'm thinking. Joe almost had a heart attack there. I'm sorry. As an independent, I still had Republican Zone in my head.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Joe's hair was actually brown before I said he was a Republican, and all of a sudden it just turned pink. If you notice, wow. Sorry, Joe. I did not mean to recall you were a Republican.
It's okay.
My other friend here is Duke Orsino, who is a Republican who ran for the 1st Councilmanic District of the city of Philadelphia. Duke Orsino, welcome.
Hey.
So I've had Duke on before, and Joe, you've been on Orsino Radio before.
I've been on a few different Orsino radio shows.
A few different Orsino radio shows. So nice. So I bet you never thought you'd be on a show called the Republican Zone, though.
Not really.
No, yeah. You are. You never thought you'd be friends with a
that's
Republican.
fine.
That's probably.
No,
am I your only Republican friend, Joe?
No, I'm sure that's
good.
not true.
Good. You're like
I'm a
you're not positive though, are you?
No, I know I have.
Have some Republican friends.
They're definitely not Trumpers, but I have Republican
well,
friends.
What if we're Trumpers though? Will you still be friends with us? He's not sure. Look, he's like, well, we'll wait to the end of this show and see if we're all still. I'm sure we're all still friends.
We're gonna be friends.
And Joe is also the I assume you're the founder of the PMA Bike Ride.
Yes.
Correct. So
yes.
and that stands for Positive Mental Attitude.
Yes.
Correct. All right. I did have to look that up before. I have a good memory, but not that good of a memory. I know PMA Bike Ride, but I had to look up what it stood for, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But all three of us ran for city council. You know, Joe and I for city council at large, Duke for the 1st Councilmanic District for the seat currently held by Mark Squilla. And people always ask me, and this was all of our first times running, correct? Right?
Yes.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
People ask me, what did you like about it? What you didn't like about it? You know, what surprised me about it? So, what are your guys' thoughts on the campaign, on the election? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Was it harder than you thought? What surprised you about running a campaign?
I liked it. The only thing that really surprised me is that, nobody does this on purpose, but nobody really tells you, how to do, the little things, where to go file certain paperwork, where to go, you have to take this paperwork by this date to this place. You have to file this by this date. Those, little important things are, kind of paramount. Nobody really tells you them. You just kind of got to figure it out as you go along. So I wish there was somebody kind of guiding me through that a little bit.
Turn your stuff in.
I turned my stuff in.
They had a stack of people that were getting fines.
Nope. I'm
not
one
for
of
the
them.
campaign finance.
I was there on Monday. Mine was a day late because my ID fell out of my pocket, and I turned it on Tuesday because on Monday PennDOT's not open, so you can't get a new ID on Monday, and because I called and they recognized me because I go in there personally, they didn't give me a fine, but they showed me a stack of envelopes that they were about to send out to everybody that.
When was this?
Wow, they were raring to go.
On Tuesday.
On Tuesday, okay.
The paperwork was due. The last filing was due on Monday.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know I'm good, but I know there were a bunch of people who hadn't even filed campaign finance reports well into the election. And in fact, after the primary, I looked at a few, and I'm not going to name any names, and we'll say no one here, but there were a number of people running for offices, not just city council at large, but whether it's a row office or a different office, who had not even filed a single campaign finance report. And I kind of was like, well, they shouldn't. I will say one was actually elected, and this person had not, at least just before the primary, this person had not even
Were they
filed
a new person?
It's a new person who won, though. I'm not going to say the person's
Okay,
name.
well,
but,
I think I know who
I
it
could
might
take
be.
some guesses, but
luckily,
I had a
deniability.
good treasurer. It's good to have
Yeah.
somebody that has experience and can give you a text and know keep you in line.
Well, and that brings up a good point. I mean, one of the, I was not surprised about how much money it took to run a campaign. But I always wondered,
Yeah.
I'm like, you hear these people say, I spent $100,000 before the primary. And I'm like, how do you spend $100,000
Where do you get it?
in,
Yeah.
in a local municipal campaign? And I don't think any of us spent $100,000. But I very quickly
No.
figured out, wow, it's expensive.
I don't think I've ever seen 100.
Yeah, I don't think that should personally be allowed to be able to have to spend to. That shouldn't be even. Carter has said that that's the reason why he would never win is because that's how it is now, and I just don't think that should be allowed. I won the most votes with the least amount of money.
So the price per vote, not that you bought votes,
it
but
was about
yeah.
No, well, yeah, you don't buy. Some people, I mean, you could figure
never know,
in a
yeah.
way. I mean, it is. Yeah, I mean, when you look at campaign financing, I was probably about 50 cents a vote, or maybe less.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, my campaign never hit 10 grand. And I beat campaigns that had well over 60 grand and have much
Yeah,
more
yeah.
name recognition.
You surprised. I think you surprised a lot of people,
was
including myself.
I
As an
put in a
independent.
lot
Yeah.
of work.
You bike through my neighborhood. I yelled at Joe one day. Not yelled.
Yeah.
I yelled. I said hello to him. It wasn't like I saw him biking through my
You're like,
neighborhood.
"Get outta here."
I think
That
you
was
hit
pretty much-
every neighborhood.
I was in every neighborhood, pretty much every day that like I was out, and no matter what neighborhood I was in, somebody said hi because I'm very recognizable.
You are
You were out
recognizable,
like
Joe.
you were out in like the rain and the snow. And,
I knocked
every day.
in the rain at least 3 times. I was in areas that typically people that align with Democrat, but like would not have been at, like that were deemed like more like Trump territory, Bridesburg and pretty high up northeast. I was where like, well, I went to that spot specifically on the way to. There was a Somerton meeting or whatever.
Yep.
So before
Somerton Civic,
you
yeah.
might have been there. Before I went there, I didn't want to miss a day of knocking, so I knocked as much as I could, and then somebody picked me up and took me the rest of the way.
Took you the way. So no, I spent a lot of time in Bridesburg getting signatures because there are a lot of Republicans now. That's all relative. It's still
Yeah.
less than 50%, but there are a lot of Republicans in Bridesburg. So I got a ton of signatures there, and it's very Irish. So I put on, my last name's Murray, so I put on my Jeff cap and walked around getting
That makes
signatures.
sense. There was a lot of Trump and Billy C. I was specifically going to independent super voters when I was knocking on doors, because those are typically, you would think that those would be the people that would most likely vote for me. And then when it comes up as an independent and they've got a Billy C. and a Trump flag, I'm not going to go to that door.
No, you can still get signatures.
I would say
You
that
can
I
still-
wasn't.
lot of
No, that's not when I was getting
Republicans like
signatures.
you.
I was that.
Oh, you were just knocking on doors.
I was just not.
Oh, that
hey,
was
hey,
not-
I'm running for
that was
office.
votes. Okay.
Yeah, that was different.
Well, I do want to point this out. A lot of Republicans do like you.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of
I
them.
know. Like, I think a lot of that is just the PMA Bike Ride, but then also just because people saw how hard I was actually like really working. I mean, no candidate went to city council as much as me. I went to city council more than 4 of the incumbents.
I was about to say, you go to city council more than city council members go to
Yeah,
city council.
I was there every single city council for a year and a half.
You go to every
So-
single session?
I was.
Wow.
I've missed the last 4 because I'm broke.
You got to start making
I'm
money.
broke.
again.
Yeah. Once I am more financially stable, I plan to be going
Plan on going back again?
going more into Harrisburg more. But right now, I can't do that because I'm broke.
Yeah. Well,
what happens.
I was not necessarily surprised how much money it took, but I kind of realized where the money goes to. And it's different when you run for a party, right? Because you get endorsements. You're not paying for endorsements, but if someone does endorse you, you need to pay that person money to get what's called GOTV, to get the vote out. So I actually got endorsed by a lot of Republican wards, so that costs a lot of money. I said lawn signs are ridiculously expensive.
Oh, yeah.
They're like $5 a piece, and I didn't get that many, but
You might want to go to a different printer.
yeah, no. How much did you get them for?
Definitely less.
Did you pay-
couple bucks?
Did you have a union bug? Did you have the union bug on it though?
No, I went to a local printer that was he's a committee person.
He's a committee, yeah. So I think a lot of people will tell you have to have the union bug on it.
That's a smart thing to do in a union city.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I was supporting local business though. And
Sure.
Not.
That's fair.
I think. I mean, there was. I think if supporting local business in union, it's similar.
Sure. No, absolutely. So, so are you guys going to run again? Don't know. Still,
yeah.
Still vetting. Still
We'll
thinking.
see what
honestly.
happens. I think more than likely.
More like it as an independent, or are you going to maybe?
I'm definitely going to be an independent.
You're not going to be a working families party.
Oh,
no,
no.
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 So what did you think about?
I will not be a working family.
So I didn't think it was actually fair that Kendra Brooks and Nicholas O'Rourke were running under the Working Families Party banner because let's face it, they're Democrats, and the whole purpose of the charter, the whole purpose of the legislation to reserve 2 seats in city council at large for a minority party is for a diverse opinion in city council. Whether that diversity is more conservative or more liberal or just not a Democrat political thought process, I'll say. So I thought it was very unfair that they ran. I thought it was completely unfair that how much money came in from outside of the city of Philadelphia because they spent
most of it came
hundreds of
from New
thousands
York.
of dollars.
billionaire money. I've stated before. I believe that it was unethical. I believe those 2 seats were they're meant for different views, and we can't really say. I think especially for this show. But like, you can't say that it's Republicans that we can fault the city for. I mean, the city is Democrat run, so it's not one side that is ruining anything. Especially not the one that only has 3 people, and now they have
I have only 2 people.
2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So right now we have one centrist Republican and all Democrats.
You know, you cannot blame. And look, I think there's a lot of good stuff going on in the city of Philadelphia, but I think a lot of the good things that are going on in the city are concentrated in Center City, and there are a lot of underserved communities.
That's a big problem
Outside of Center City. Well, I think it's good that Center City's doing well, but we need to figure out how the underserved communities also do well. And obviously, we need to talk about, one of the biggest problems in the city, and I know something that Joe fights for every day, is homelessness and the opioid crisis. Because we see it every day. We see it in Center City, but outside in the underserved communities, it's all over the place, and it's something that's a huge problem in the city of Philadelphia, and it's a huge problem. You could probably point to a number of reasons why it's a problem, whether it's poverty or mental illness or the opioid epidemic. It's probably all of the above. But we're seeing it outside in the communities, and at least up until now, I don't see anything being done to help these people.
Well, but it seems most of the efforts are really done by third-party agencies and nonprofits. Like the city itself, really, I won't want to say that the will to help people isn't there, but it's either resources or effort. But there's a lot of things working against like a lot of these social issues, and it's unfortunate that we live in a city of such a great size that we have so many unattended social issues. So you did the other night, you did the camp out for solidarity with street citizens, and you were at the homeless memorial, and I was there. I tried to stay as long as I could because I had other commitments, but that's something that's really awesome to bring awareness to the plight of street citizens and all. And I was there. Joe was giving out free pizza and free clothing to anybody who needed it.
Did you take some of the pizza?
No, I did not.
I was about to say you better not be taking any of that pizza. That's for people who are.
It was not for me.
Exactly. Okay.
Look, I got my own problems, but I'm not taking pizza.
We all do. We all do. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back in a couple minutes with Oosilo Radio.
I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. And even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. I have a mentor, Maria, and she convinced me to continue my education. She just never judges. She's a true role model.
From the depths of my heart, I thank you, Maria, for being a friend and a beautiful person. No one receives a diploma alone, and I'm honored to share this moment with you. Thank you.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, Go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back. You're listening to Ooster Radio. My name is Drew Murray, and I am the host of the Republican Zone. I'm here with my friends, I should say, Joe Cox and Duke Orsino, both who ran for city council this year. Duke is a Republican. Joe Cox is an independent. So I would say, so Joe Cox is more on the liberal side, and I would even say Duke is a moderate, maybe even leaning a little toward liberal on a lot of social issues. I'm a moderate, but I always say no matter what, Democrats, Republicans, we all need to talk more instead of yelling at each other. I think it's better for everyone to have conversations, and even if you disagree, I can pretty much guarantee you Joe Cox and I disagree on 90% of political issues. What are the answers at least? But I think we both want the same thing. We want better education for our children, safer neighborhoods. We want to decrease homelessness. It's just how do we get there, Joe? I believe in a smaller government and less taxes. I don't want to put any words in anybody's mouth, but typically someone who is more liberal thinks more large government, large taxes. But that's I don't want to put any words in Joe Cox's mouth, so I'll let him speak for that. But no matter what, I'd say we probably don't agree on a lot of political issues. But we're still friends, and we're not going to argue. We'll talk a little about the tax abatement later, because I know by the end of the show, both Joe Cox and Duke Orsino will agree with me on the tax abatement because I make such good arguments there. So back to home. I'm going to talk about homelessness, and I want to talk a little bit about what Joe Cox does, because if you disagree with Joe Cox, you can't say he's not a good person, because he's out there every day, almost every day, helping homeless people with it's called the PMA Bike Ride, Positive Mental Attitude. So tell us a little bit about what you do. Number one, how did it start? Did this idea come to you to do the PMA Bike Ride?
Well, I've been a bike messenger in Philadelphia for over 7.5 years, and as a bike messenger, I saw so many people that were down on their luck on the street, and it made me feel like crap. And so I just said I wanted to do something about it. Before I was doing the PMA Bike Ride, I was doing these giving out bags that a friend had a group that they put bags of perishable food and different essential items in there. So while I was working, I was giving out those different items, and then during the DNC, I just started to do my own thing, called it the PMA Bike Ride, and just made a Facebook event, and then just continued from there. Originally, it was one day a month, and then it became 2 days, and then 4 days a month. We go to every neighborhood, and just trying to spread positivity and love and feed people. I sit at the corner of K&A, and I yell, "No one should be hungry. No one should be hungry in America. Free pizza. We need more love."
And that's what it's pizza, right?
Yeah.
You give out pizza? Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it's basically once a week at this point. We're all 4 times a month.
It's basically it's the first Sunday of the month, West Philly and South Philly, so 2 events both days, and then the last Saturday of the month we go to Kensington and Center City, and then sometimes we might do an event in between there, like this Thursday was a special event because of it's the longest night of the year, and they had the homeless memorial that they do every year in Philadelphia. It's, memorializing those that have lost on our streets. So I decided to do an event to raise awareness. Actually, it was 3 of us that camped outside City Hall to raise awareness, and then at least a couple handfuls of people were there before midnight as well. Mm-hmm. We gave out.
I was one of them.
Duke was there. We gave out, I believe, 6 bags of clothes.
Wow.
Nice. About 27 pizzas.
And it was really cold that night, if I remember correctly.
It was very cold. Luckily, Jamal Johnson, I believe is his last name. He has his own group, SKU. Stop Killing Us. He tries to tackle that issue. He joined and he brought a tent. Without that tent, I don't know if we would have made it.
Because it was that bad out.
It was
windy
very
too, right?
cold. Yeah, it was very cold.
I think it was 6 degrees that night. I think
Something
was
like
the
that.
low.
I was wearing
Yeah.
5 layers.
The wind chill was terrible.
It was very cold.
Well, thank you for what you do. Thank you for bringing awareness, number one, and thank you for doing what you do and to help to feed the homeless, because it is it's an incredibly challenging problem in all big cities. It's not just the city of Philadelphia.
But Philadelphia is the poorest big city.
Yes,
And I just don't believe it. To me, it doesn't make any sense. Like when you got skyscrapers, but we don't even have just trash cans. Even a lot of spots, even in Center City, you can't find a trash can sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But it just doesn't make any sense when you got the most, and then I don't think we should have that. And there should be anybody that's hungry.
There shouldn't be that much disparity.
And it also we have more abandoned buildings in Philadelphia than we do street citizens. So, it just doesn't, they don't go together. It just doesn't make any sense.
Sure. Well, an issue that we talk about, I know you post a lot on Facebook, is there's not enough public restrooms.
Yeah.
And Philadelphia is beginning to address that. I mean, even on the Parkway, I tell people, I live right near the Benjamin Franklin Parkway, and there's no public bathrooms for visitors or obviously people who are street citizens.
Yeah, it affects everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of people, when I was campaigning on that when you say that, either somebody laughs at first or they're just all of a sudden just all yes. I can't find a bathroom anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do find a bathroom, you usually have to buy something. And you shouldn't have to buy something to use the bathroom.
Well, there
It's
should
a
be enough
basic
public
right.
restrooms that you should be able to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To
Even
use,
in public
to use a
buildings like
restroom.
City Hall,
Well, City Hall has a bathroom.
but they still try to they're so. Let me put it this way: when you go into City Hall and you don't look like you have any official business in there just to use the restroom, sometimes they follow you around. Sometimes the security guards just kind of watch you, see what you're doing. I feel uncomfortable unless I have official business going into City Hall, and that's not right. It's a public building. Our taxes pay for it. Our taxes maintain it. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to just go in and use the restroom without feeling like you're under surveillance.
Yeah, it is your building. It's everybody that lives here's building.
Mhm.
I mean, we're paying the taxes to run the building.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, no, it's a huge problem, and the city is addressing it. They are bringing in some public, smaller kind of, I call them kiosk type, very, very small bathrooms. So anybody, whether it's visitors or street citizens, need to go to the bathroom. So one of the big issues, or one of the large reasons for the homeless epidemic, it's why it's I think increased, is the opioid epidemic and the heroin epidemic. And so there is an issue that I heard a lot during the campaign, and I really don't even know how you guys feel about it. I know how I feel about safe injection sites. I personally think that we need to find money at a federal level, at a state level, and a municipal level to help people. I believe addiction is a disease and we need to help them, but I personally don't believe safe injection sites are the way to go. I understand the harm reduction thought process behind the safe injection sites, but the reason I don't believe in them is because I think it is enabling people to continue to use a drug that is killing them every time they put it into their body. So that's one reason I don't believe in it. And then the second reason, I think any community that would get a safe injection site, and if they do go forward, they could theoretically be in any neighborhood in the city of Philadelphia. I think it's a danger to tell people, you come in, you're allowed to do drugs, and it's not like, when these people are on drugs, they could be a danger to other people. And, as a father who is raising children in the city, I don't think it's fair for any neighborhood to say, let's have a safe injection site here. So, and again, I don't even know how I definitely don't know how what Joe Cox feels, and I think I know how Duke feels, but I'm not gonna put any words in anybody's mouth. But what do you guys feel about safe injection sites?
I am for Project Safe House. I actually think the value of harm reduction outweighs a lot of the negative aspects. I mean, let's just be frank here that, we shouldn't be at a point in a society where we have to contemplate it, but unfortunately this is where we are. And the value of harm reduction outweighs, the potential of how things have been so far. I mean, we have people dying under overpasses. We have people dying on the subway. We have people dying that otherwise this can be avoided if, I mean, people are going to, unfortunately, use illegal substances. I'd rather, them do it in a place where there's the potential to seek out treatment, to seek out any kind of first aid that's needed. Like, rather that happen than more people end up in the morgue.
But part of my problem is that when they come in, they're not even required to do anything as far as, so if they come in, it's purely harm reduction. It is, we're going to save that person in that instance, which I understand. But I would maybe be a little more leaning toward understanding them if someone who went in there had to have some level of counseling. Obviously before they did the drug, because after they do the drug, then the counseling is not going to do anything. But there's no requirement there that you can come in, you can do the drug, and you can leave.
True, but there's also going to be one of the biggest parts of the opioid epidemic is the fentanyl that has been introduced into the street drugs that are out there, and at least with Project Safe House, one of the big things is going to be the ability to test for fentanyl, presence of fentanyl in different drugs and stuff like that. So I think that's important. Again, I mean, I wish we hadn't come to this point in society, but I do believe we have to save people's lives.
It's an epidemic, and there's no one who has not been affected by it, whether it's knowing someone who has someone in their immediate family or a friend or an extended family. Everyone is affected by this epidemic, and we need to do something. I don't know the answer, but I know it's going to take money. And it's got to come in every level of government. Joe, what do you think about the safe injection sites?
I'm for Safe House. For one, it's been proven in different areas that have done it that, number one, it saves lives, but it does push people away from doing that because they're right there and somebody can give them an ear of, hey, maybe do something else, maybe you get treatment. But they can't do that it's not going to happen on the street. And there's going to be less needles on the street if they go somewhere safe to do it, at least. I mean, because it's not going to stop. And also, people, like, if we end some of this stigma, there's going to be less people dying as well. People are, like, hiding away, doing it without even anybody there to watch them. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of heroin, but we need to do something that is proven to save lives.
Now, Councilman Dom had an idea, and I would probably be more willing to. I still think it enables, but look, I'm not an expert, so I always like to hear different views and views from experts. But he had mentioned, look, if we're going to do this, we should put it in a hospital. We should not have it in the middle of someone's neighborhood where children are, and out on the campaign trail, I heard many people say if Governor Rendell wants this so much because he is a supporter of it. I'd like to see how he would feel if it was in his own neighborhood. And, and that's a good point. I mean, how would you feel? I know how I personally feel. I would not want it in my neighborhood. I'm being honest, because I have 2 young daughters that I would feel it would be dangerous to have a safe injection site in my community. So we're going to talk a little bit about this, but right now we're going to take a 2-minute break. You're listening to Usula Radio.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Being prepared is a part of who you are, but it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
Welcome back. You're listening to Usula Radio. My name is Drew Murray, and I'm the host of the Republican Zone. I'm here with my friend Joe Cox and my friend Duke Orsino. We were talking about safe injection sites. I'm assuming we'll just have to agree to disagree on this one, although I do agree. I think we all agree that we need to do something, and that addiction is a disease, and we need to help these people because I don't think anybody... I know no one wants to be addicted to a drug like heroin, and we do need to help them. But that was a huge issue on the campaign trail was safe injection sites. It was actually, I think every Republican was against them, except I think Duke was probably against safe injection sites. But a lot of Democrats were it was split, so it wasn't necessarily a partisan issue. But another big issue on the campaign trail that I heard was the Philadelphia tax abatements. And I am 100% for the tax abatements in the city of Philadelphia. I think they are a good thing. The reason I believe they are a good thing, and I already know that these two don't agree with me, but by the end of this segment, they're going to understand. Like, wow, Drew,
fair enough. Though,
Drew, you were absolutely correct. Drew, tax abatements are great for the city of Philadelphia. And they are going to change. So actually, City Council did change them, and it is going to be decreased on residential properties 10% per year, which it's a compromise. Because the one thing I will say, even though I am 100% for tax abatements, I don't think they should have been changed. I think the voters on who they elected, and people like Jamie Gutierrez in West Philadelphia, who ran saying that the tax abatements were a bad thing, I think.
I think the majority of people said more so that it's time to, like, they were good at one point. Mm-hmm. They were good when they first made the abatement, but now it has run its time is what I heard the most.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard that as well.
I come from that school of thought too. I think the tax abatements came about when we were during the financial crisis, but now the economy is good. There's not really a point for them. Financial growth is going to come. And economic growth is going to come anyway. So they've run their course. It's time to phase them out because now they're doing more harm than good.
Well, I would never phase them out because I think if we did phase them out, I know if we phased them out or if we eliminated them completely, like some people wanted to do, it would absolutely hurt the economy because there are projects that wouldn't get done. Now, in Center City, would projects continue without the abatement? Maybe. Not every project. But in underserved communities and communities outside of Center City, a lot of projects would absolutely end. A lot of people say, "Oh, developers have money." Number one, not all developers have money. Not every developer is extremely wealthy, and even the wealthier developers, even if they're personally wealthy, they still need financing, right? And what the tax abatement did was it allowed them to charge more for homes, for parcels, because of the improvement. And what I tell people is the tax abatement, the taxpayers themselves, the residents who were living and buying these homes, were basically prepaying their taxes to developers as an incentive. I mean, that's kind of what it was, right? Because it's very expensive to do business in the city of Philadelphia. It's definitely very expensive to build, because we are a union town, and that's nothing, and I'm not saying anything against the unions, but it does make it much more expensive. So what I tell people is people were kind of paying taxes. They were just paying it to developers, and since developers were able to pay more or sell their parcels, their improvements for more money, it allowed them to get loans from banks that maybe they wouldn't have gotten, which meant parcels were improved, which means jobs came to the city of Philadelphia. So I wouldn't have changed it. I would have kept it exactly the way it was. But so Duke's almost there. He's like, wow, Drew's making a lot of sense right now.
Actually, no. My plan, what I was really advocating for, was the total repeal of the tax abatement, the creation, and then to continue the economic development, to creation of a program to teach people in our hardest hit, low income neighborhoods how to start and sustain their own small business, how to basically self-improve their own neighborhoods and take back their own neighborhoods economically, and then also I was also advocating for a publicly owned community bank that that would offer different investment loans and stuff back to the people at below market rates. So I had a lot of different alternatives to the tax abatement thing, but fortunately, the election went a different way.
Hey, you can always come back. So,
Squill's not running next time.
He's definitely not running?
So I've heard.
That's what I've been I don't know if he's made that loud statement, but
Oh, that's interesting. Like he's retiring, or he is moving on to something different. Like,
that's
I've heard
what
that.
I've been told. He's retiring.
oh, interesting. He's not even that old, is he?
Well, he might not. I don't know if he's. That's not. I don't know if that's
Sure.
a loud state. Like, but I feel like a bunch of people have been saying that.
I heard he may run for the 184th eventually, for the state rep seat.
Really?
Eventually. But who knows? Who knows what happened? Because that's 4 years away. From
No,
now.
yeah. Well, it'll. Some of those races will come up sooner rather than later because if you are in office in the city of Philadelphia, you're not allowed to run for another office.
You know,
So if you're going to go for mayor, there's going to be a lot of people who step down from city council because they're going to run for mayor. Whether it's council, Councilwoman Gim, I've heard, yes, is
I heard
running,
that
but
too.
I've also heard she's running for Congress. She's actually going to be on the show in a couple weeks. I don't think she's going to make any announcement, but we can ask Helen. But there are a number of people going to run for mayor, and that means they got to step down but before they can announce. Actually, as soon as they announce, they have to step down.
Yeah, there's a handful of people that have.
Well, I know Cheryl Parker. I assume Councilwoman Cheryl Parker is going to run. I think Councilwoman Cindy Bass is going to run. And maybe they don't. Maybe they do some polling. And maybe they think about it before they officially dive in. I'm sure Councilman Dom is thinking about it. So I think there's at least 5 sitting council members now. Who
I
are
even heard
thinking
Darrell
about
Clark
running.
might.
I don't think Council President Clark will. He would have beaten Mayor Kenny if he wanted to. I mean, he was. Let's face it. The way politics works is Bob Brady says, "All right, who's going to be mayor?" He pointed to Mayor Kenny. No, you're no, and they are, and we can talk about that. They are, but this is when Mayor Kenny first won, Bob Brady. I know if Council President Clark wanted to run for mayor, he probably would have won.
Still, this election proved that the party chair people don't matter as much as they used to in the grand scheme of things.
They still have power, but no. Bob Brady definitely, I think, lost some of his juice, some of his mojo.
Me and the whole kit and caboodle collapsed around.
We have a new, we have Martina White as the new head of the Republican City Committee. Johnny Doc doesn't have as much influence as he used to, and he is, there are other issues there. But no, I mean, they said there's an article in the paper this morning that the old guard of Philadelphia is losing a lot of their power, and and look, I think I look at Kendra Brooks, and I don't know her personally, but I'm sure she's actually a very good person. She's a community activist, but I know Bob Brady did not want her to win. I know Bob Brady. It's kind of like whether or not it's because he thought that he would rather Republicans be in, or he just wanted control. Some of it is, if it isn't broke, don't try to fix it. And
have you heard that personally from him?
That
he didn't want her.
Well, he publicly announced it. Yes.
Yeah, I've heard.
Did I? No, I did
but,
not.
There's been people that have said that maybe that was like a show.
That is very
they
possible.
actually did want another Democrat.
I mean, anything's possible in this town.
I mean, they have the same money.
And it is strange that
if you look at campaign financing, the same people funding, like Kenny, Krasner, they were funding.
the
WFP.
I just don't know what Bob Brady would have gained from Kendra winning.
I don't know. It is,
and it's an interesting topic.
Another Democrat.
It's very strange that it took the Democrats this long to figure out this workaround too.
Well, they tried it before.
It was tried last time, but I don't. Well, I think he was a Democrat.
He was I can't remember his name right now.
He supported her.
He did support her. I got an email. Oh my God, I can't believe it. And a very, very smart guy.
He's a transportation person.
He's a
Was it the guy
transportation
from the
person.
Socialist Workers Party?
No. This is a person who's a Democrat that he decided to run as an independent. And I remember when he first ran, I was like, wow, he's probably maybe he is an independent.
Stober.
Yeah, Andrew Stober, exactly. Very, very smart guy.
A lot of people compared me to him when I first announced.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Very smart guy, good looking.
I don't think I ever met
smart
him.
guy, good looking. He's a transportation guy, so
I follow him on Twitter. I don't think I've ever met him, but I was a little surprised when I saw that he was supporting her when I announced way further, and especially if he was transportation.
Well, Andrew Stober was also he was a Democrat, so he's probably more like Kendra in that he was a Democrat running under the banner. He was running as a quote unquote independent.
Oh, yeah.
And it's extremely hard to as an independent because you do need money, right, Joe? I mean, even if you
Yeah.
It's probably almost impossible to win
I think
without
if
some
I had a
level of
quarter
money.
of the money, I would have won.
God,
Honestly, I mean, when you look at the tally of how many votes I got with the amount of money that I had, like, I mean, but I went to 19 different polls on election day, and I saw how many people the Working Families Party had at the polls. I mean, and
It was a
personally,
crazy amount of money.
I think a
they
lot
spent.
of those votes were won at the polls.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
No, I agree. And that money doesn't flow through Kendra's or Nicholas's campaign. So if they show they're spending $100,000, they could have they probably spent $200,000-$300,000 on poll workers. I mean, if you're spending $120 per person, and if you have one or two people at the polls, and there's I don't think they were at every polling station, but there are 1,600 polling stations.
I went to 19 polls. The majority of ones that I went at, they had about 3 people there
That's
that were
amazing.
in your face. If you don't want Republicans, vote for these 2 people, and then vote for your favorite 3 Dems.
That's interesting.
Yeah, no,
They were like in.
They
had 'em
weren't
in my
in, they
polling
weren't
place,
in my
too.
division.
It wasn't like the people that were with me were like, "Wow, that strategy that wouldn't turn me on." They were like,
It was very aggressive.
Yeah, and like, but I mean, if you got that, like, even if you win half of the people with that strategy, and you have somebody at like all the polls and like, I don't
Well,
know.
look, it's the Trump effect. You know,
Well, that definitely has something to do
love them, hate them, or in the middle. Trump had an effect on the elections in the city of Philadelphia because he is a polarizing figure, and the people who really dislike him, if you say it's the party of Trump, which I don't ever agree with that. It's part, whether you like him or don't like him, the party is not the party of Trump. There are plenty of Republicans who were Republicans way before Donald Trump, and they were Republicans before he became president. But he had an effect, right? And if people disliked the president and they were standing outside the polling station saying, vote against the GOP, then I think it was effective. And that's another one of my problems with the Working Families Party winning in Philadelphia. And it's a problem that I have with people like George Soros and the election of Larry Krasner. And again, whether you like him, this is not whether you like him or not, but money from outside of the city of Philadelphia is who paid for Larry Krasner to win and who paid for Kendra Brooks to win.
And it's not just outside money; it's billionaire money. I mean, personally, I just billionaires shouldn't be affecting local politics. They shouldn't be affecting what's going on, especially with money like that. I mean,
no, I agree, especially if they didn't donate to my campaign. If they donated to my campaign, then
I mean,
that might be a little
billionaires
different.
who
but-
say they hate billionaires.
Well,
Billionaires give
Soros
money
is
to
the biggest. He's the biggest hypocrite in the world. I mean, he would literally put economies into recessions by manipulating the supply of money, and he was fine with that, and he said it was fine. But then all of a sudden, he's for all these social issues. So he is the biggest hypocrite, in my opinion, in the world. But with that, we're going to take a 2-minute break. You're listening to Usula Radio and the Republican Zone.
Sometimes the things we do or say can make others feel hurt, excluded, or isolated. Everything you say and do creates an impact.
How am I supposed to save the whole world?
You can't think about saving the world. You have to think about saving one person.
Because of you, someone's entire life can change. You don't have to be a superhero to have a positive impact.
Friends?
Friends.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
Because of you, I feel not alone in this world. And you let me know that it only takes one person to make you feel wanted.
be happy.
Welcome back. Look, Duke's speaking over my coming back. Welcome back. You were listening to News Radio. My name is Drew Murray, and you were listening to the Republican Zone. Of course, you were also listening to Duke Orsino, who was talking during my coming back from commercial break. So
yes,
I told him I'm going to continue now my radio voice for the rest of the segment of the show to see, since Duke is talking over me. So
talking about tax abatements.
We're talking about tax abatements. We're talking about we got into Trump a little bit. So, look, I know my feeling about impeachment. We talked a little bit about it, but here's my personal thought about the impeachment. Number one, I read the transcript of what Trump did on the phone call, what President Trump did. I think he walked the line. I don't think what he did was necessarily right, but I don't necessarily think it was illegal. You could argue whether or not it was illegal what he did, but I definitely don't think it was to the level of impeachment. So I don't agree with what the House has done in impeaching President Trump. And again, that's not liking President Trump, hating President Trump. It's just what I look at as the law, and I don't think it was necessarily illegal. And if we're debating whether or not it was illegal what he did, I definitely don't think it was to the level of an impeachable offense. That's I think this is a waste of time. I think it's a waste of taxpayer dollars. And to be honest with you, I would say the Democrats in the House would have a lot more standing if they didn't start trying to impeach Trump or talk about impeaching Trump before he even took office. And they literally tried to impeach him, or they planned his impeachment, in my opinion. And I feel like I'm very much a moderate. They started the impeachment process the day he took office, before he did anything. And there were people who literally said, we got to impeach this bleeping guy. So what do you guys think about the impeachment process? Good, bad, otherwise?
I think it's a waste of money, because I'm like, you need both houses in the Congress to get someone.
You need
impeached.
both the House and the Senate.
You need the House and the Senate, and obviously this is probably never even going to move to the Senate. So it's just like, what was the point? My theory is this was only done by Democrats so they could try to secure their own re-elections, which is coming up in a year. So they can say, look, we stood up to Donald Trump. Look, we're going to continue to stand up to the Trump agenda, blah, blah, blah. I think it's literally, this is just a vanity project. It serves no actual purpose. And to be honest, it's wasted millions of taxpayer dollars with all the evidence gathering and all this. I'm just like, if you want to get rid of Donald Trump, get rid of him at the voting booth.
In November. I 100% agree. Absolutely. What are your thoughts, Joe?
I have similar feelings as that. I believe, I'm for impeachment, but I also think that I think he's done worse things in his presidency than what we are impeaching him for, what we impeached him for, being the fact that we're not taking it to the Senate, I feel like it's a waste of time doing the impeachment if we're not going to take it to the Senate. They're scared of a fair trial, but why did we even go through that? Of course, it's not going to be fair. I don't really.
It's going to be
believe.
partisan.
It's a Republican Senate, number one, so it's not likely going to happen. So what was the whole point in doing all that? Just to put a little stain that he's the third president that's been impeached? I
don't think Clinton should have been impeached either, so I didn't think President Clinton should have been impeached either.
Well, technically, too, for an impeachment to actually be an impeachment, both the House and the Senate have to basically pass articles of impeachment. Technically, it's not
it's only
even
the House.
impeachment.
The House passes the articles of impeachment. Whether or not the president is removed is solely up to the Senate, who acts as the jury. And I tell you right now, I disagree with what Mitch McConnell said. He said that we're going to work with the president's attorneys within this process, and he's completely wrong. Yeah. The optics, if nothing else, the optics are horrible.
What he said is pretty, anti-democratic. It doesn't really...
Both sides have shown incredible bias in this whole process. Both Democrats and Republicans have shown, in a process that's supposed to be as unbiased as possible, have shown complete bias. So, it's like, what are we doing here? What is this?
And you know what? I actually, look, if the members of the House who voted to impeach truly 100%, and this was not partisan, and this is not trying to get Trump out of office, if they truly believed he did something that rises to the level of impeachment, whether or not they think it's going to pass the Senate or he's going to be removed from the Senate, they should do it because it is accountability. I mean, even if they don't think it's going to happen, and it is a waste of taxpayer money, if they believe he should be held accountable, then I'm fine with that. I don't think that's why they're doing it. I think they're trying to reverse an election in 2016 and negatively influence him in the election of 2020. And I'll be honest with you, I think the only thing that's going to happen here, and the reason they don't want it to go to the Senate, is because the Senate is not going to remove him. We all know that, and that doesn't matter what you feel about President Trump. He's not going to be removed, and so President Trump is going to state he was exonerated, and then it's just going to bring him a win in 2020. I think he's going to win in 2020 anyway, but
I don't know what's going to happen in 2020, honestly.
Definitely, I don't think this hurts him.
No, I think it helps him.
It probably helps him more than it hurts him. Like, it doesn't really. I don't think it's that much of a win for anybody. I mean, it's not. It's gonna. All he's gonna do is keep boosting it up. He's gonna call it fake news, and that's about it. I mean, and the DNC, if they don't get their act together, they're just gonna give us another Trump presidency. I believe. If they give us a Biden or a Pete,
Well, I know who Joe Cox supports.
I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah. Well, not to our listeners. Anyone on Facebook knows
if you got
that,
YouTube,
that Joe Cox is feeling the burn. But
hey, I don't know who yet. I have not made up my mind yet. Yeah, I want to see how things play out.
Bernie was got me inspired to get political at all. No,
that is why you ran for office, correct? Because of Bernie Sanders.
No, he's not solely responsible for me running for office, but he got me. I wasn't really going to protest and wasn't really nearly as active. I voted, but other than that, I wasn't really active. When Bernie Sanders came out in 2016, I went to 8 different Bernie marches. I went different states, did the march on DNC. And then, I mean, after seeing what the DNC did in that election, I decided not to be a Democrat anymore.
Okay. So you were a Democrat and you thought they basically fixed the
that was
election
proven.
for Hillary Clinton.
I
agree with you.
They went to court, and they said that they were allowed to do that. I mean, so they could do it. It's likely that they might do it again.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, polls are have Bernie very high, and it seems by watching everything, they're not, playing him, they don't want that.
I'll be honest with you, Joe. I don't think Bernie Sanders has a chance, and I'm going to just pretend I'm completely nonpartisan. I don't think Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders, who are very far left, Democratic. Well, Bernie's a Democratic socialist. I don't know if Elizabeth Warren would say that.
No,
do you think the country is ready for someone who is a Democratic socialist and to win?
The statistics, yes.
Yeah.
If you look at statistics, it shows yes. And for military is giving the most money to Bernie of any candidate. Bernie Sanders has got the most donations of any candidate. No candidate in history has ever gotten as many single donations as Bernie Sanders.
The number of people, not the dollar amount, the number of people.
It's over, I think it was 5 million people have donated. I don't believe anybody has gotten that many dollars. Definitely not grassroots, but nobody has ever had that many people donate to one candidate. So I think that says a lot.
I think there's a couple people on the Democratic ticket that we need to, that haven't really shown yet that they need to look at. I'm trying to say this as non-biased as possible. I think Andrew Yang is someone we need to look out for because I think a lot of his policies are pretty good. The problem with the field of Democratic candidates is they're doing good, then every 5 minutes they say something dumb and you're just like, did you really just say that? Really? I want to like Tulsi Gabbard.
Put a record player
but
on it.
She says some dumb things too. And I'm just like, come on.
If I look at the Democrats, the only one I actually like Tulsi. I like Pete. I'll be honest. I don't know if Middle America or a lot of parts of the South are ready to elect an LGBT candidate yet.
Well,
as president.
I think Andrew
I think
Yang
that's
would have
unfortunate.
trouble in the South being a person of color and being an LGBTQ person. I think he will have trouble, especially getting votes from evangelicals, from
I got more votes than Pete.
Pete Buttigieg. I don't think I can't honestly see him getting past the primary.
And he is brilliant. I don't think the country's ready for it, and I think that is unfortunate. And I'm saying that as a Republican because I think some people think that Republicans are anti-LGBT.
I don't
which
really
is
think it has to
lie.
I mean, it's him being gay affects some people, but I think more so it's his policies.
His policies are pretty
what he's
lame.
done, and his South Bend doesn't like him. I mean, the fact that he's just talking to billionaires.
I try to like the man. I try, but then that's what he does. I'm sorry, I can't.
I would love to have a gay president. That doesn't have any. I mean,
maybe Duke could be the first gay president.
I mean, like, yo, I'm down with that. No, you know what I honestly do think is going to happen is since the DNC is not going to let someone like Bernie or someone more on the far left, the DNC has this habit because it's still run by the same people who ran it in like the Clinton.
I think they'll let Bernie in if they think Bernie can win. I think the DNC.
You think they'll let him? I have this belief that Hillary Clinton. We have not seen the last of her, and I still think she's going to jump in the race at the last minute.
That's possible.
I think it might be.
There was some
Bloomberg
poll
still
that came out and voters had voted for her above everybody.
Yeah, Bloomberg ain't gonna last a minute, or
Look, I'll be honest with you.
or whatever he calls himself.
I think people vote their pocketbooks, and I think say what you want against or for Trump, but we are in the best economy that we have seen, and there could be arguments on there's still a large amount of income disparity, but we're in the best economy this country and probably the world has ever seen. We have,
so let me ask
low
you this.
We have low unemployment. In fact, historically, the lowest ever. We have the lowest ever unemployment of the African American community. Obviously, the Dow Jones is hitting records. It feels like every day, and I think people vote their pocketbooks. I think President Trump's going to win re-election.
Well, let me ask you this: do you think any more Republican candidates will jump in prior to the primary?
No, I don't think so because it's so hard to beat an incumbent number, and if the economy was failing, or if obviously, if anyone thought there was even a chance that Trump would be removed from office, or if the vote is close, like let's say they got 60% of then maybe you would see someone jump in. But I don't see anybody jumping in. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting. I mean, I don't think the country's ready for a democratic socialist. I'm a capitalist, so I would not vote for Bernie Sanders. I have a problem with Bernie Sanders being a millionaire and a democratic socialist.
He's a billionaire?
A millionaire. Did I say billionaire?
Okay. Yeah, I
thought you said billionaire.
I think no. Well, then I also called Joe a Republican. So who knows?
There you go.
Yeah, you're having a day.
It's a weird day, but no, he's a millionaire and he's a democratic socialist. I think that's hypocritical. I think he should give away his money if he wants to be a democratic socialist.
I feel like he does give. So I mean, I don't know.
I don't think he gives it on. No, he shouldn't be a millionaire. You should not be a millionaire and a democratic socialist. That's my opinion. But
I don't know. He's worked. He's old. He's worked. He's had a long life.
Are you? So if you're 60 years old, Joe, and you're a millionaire, I think you would give it away. I think you give most of it away. Of course you would.
It's Joe, though.
I know.
I don't. I think Bernie is doing a lot of work. I don't know. Where is charity work?
I saw someone say you made so much money from your book deal. You're a millionaire now. Is that hypocritical? And he goes, I pay my taxes. I pay my taxes. I'm like, well, that's not what a democratic socialist is. A democratic socialist it's a redistribution of wealth and
well,
you shouldn't really be socialist. Well, it's a democratic socialist.
I mean, they're a little.
There's a little bit of difference, but from an economic standpoint, I would not say that's much.
I mean, as a Republican, I still believe in wealth redistribution, but through a democratic process. I'm odd.
Dude, I don't know.
I'm a very odd. You both know me.
You cannot be for economic redistribution if you're a Republican.
To a certain extent, yes, but through
You can agree with hey, I always say we need to help people who can't help themselves, but I don't know about redistribution of wealth. But you know what? I guess that's going to have to be a topic for another day because we are coming to the end. I want to thank Joe Cox. I want to thank my friend Duke Orsino and my friend Joe Cox. They're both my friends. You're listening to Usula Radio. My name is Drew Murray, and you have been listening to The Republican Zone.
Because of you, I feel not alone in this world. And